Are you ready for excitement? Around the World in 80 Tentacles presents Aloysius Quartermane, The Tower of Destruction. Starring Stephen Mummery as our Keeper of Arcane Lore.
Time to quench your thirst for adventure.
George Patterson as Aloysius Quartermane.
Charmed, I'm sure.
Joe Fox as the dashing Reginald Pearson.
Tales of Daring Do. Bully!
And Chris Hartnett playing his faithful manservant, James Peck.
Right, who's got the whiskey?
Ready yourself for thrills and adventure to astound.
Has everyone got their character sheets open?
I do, no problem.
Right. Okay. So now, before we begin, a little bit of backstory. Now, okay, this is where my insomnia really kicks in. You start hearing me muttering all over the place. Alan Quartermane, his cousin, is it brother? Was you related? You're a brother, aren't you?
Distant cousin.
Distant cousin. Alan Quartermane is a world-famous adventurer and has had a few run-ins with the Miskatonic University, donating many things he's found. His cousin, Aloysius, is also reasonably well known to the university. Now, it was at one of these university meetings where the donors were coming to the university, right? And the hoi polloi, it was the best of the best of Miskatonic U. So it was all the professors and they're meeting all the rich donors. And
Damn straight.
right there was Reginald Pearson of the famous Pearson. Okay, and you got into a heated discussion. Mr. Quartermane is Pearson, in which Reginald really wanted to know more about the world of adventure and life adventures that you lead. Mr. Quartermane.
A burning interest.
Precisely. Now, that was a few days ago when this happened, and you guys have actually known each other on and off for a couple of years. But it was only at the last discussion that you were talking. Really, at this point, Reginald was going like, "I really want to see the world. I've spent my entire life in my mansion, okay, and now you just want to get out there." Now, that said, I should also point out, Chris, Joe, you're going to sit aside for a split second, okay? And the plot is going to focus for just a little while on Quartermane, but you'll be involved soon enough.
Okay.
One day, Quartermane has received a message to talk to the head of the Miskatonic University, right? Professor Plumswold, and he's invited you to his office. So the scene starts with the year is January. It says it's January the 14th, 1939, and it is a beautiful sunny day, right, in Massachusetts. And you're just outside the office door. Scene begin. Mr. Quartermane.
All right. I go ahead and I knock on the door.
The door opens and it reveals a very charming elderly gentleman in a bow tie, and he smiles at you and he beckons you to sit down on the chair. It's a rich leather chair and beautiful. The sun is shining.
Oh, good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Unfortunately, your good afternoon's about to be ruined. I have some very bad news. Are you friends with Professor Orlando Drake Sr.?
Well, yes, I know him well.
Unfortunately, he was quite a rambunctious old man, as you know, got quite irritable in his old age. He didn't have many friends, and unfortunately, recently passed away. Informed this morning that his housemate found him dead in his country house. See, it appears to be natural causes, heart attack, but unfortunately, he doesn't have any relatives. As you know, his son, Orlando Drake Jr., is currently missing, location unknown. So, since you are one of his... Yeah, Absolutely. But since you're one of his only friends, the job comes to you to search through his home. Now, I'll be quite frank with you. The reason why we want you to do this was he was something of a hoarder and collector, and he tended to collect artifacts, items of interest in Miskatonic University, and possibly to the state museums, or maybe even the museum. So I would like you, in your own time, and I places some keys on the table, to go to his house and just search for his belongings for us.
So it's technically a dig.
Of a sort. You're digging into the house of a hoarder, so I don't know how bad it's going to be in there. I know you've been there a couple of times. I never have. Man never liked me. Rubbed me the wrong way, personally.
No problem. I'll honor my friend's wishes.
Sure. Like I said, we're only interested in stuff which is of historical interest. Anything else is probably going to be donated to a charity of some form. We haven't decided which. I believe that'll probably be all. Good day, he says, and picks up a newspaper and starts to idly read it.
I'll ready my things.
Right, now, you know that he has a small house in the countryside of Massachusetts, right? So, yeah, that's all I can tell you on that.
Okay, and I've got the address and everything else, correct?
You know that you've been there multiple times. You know this guy. He's an old friend. The only person who was his friend was basically you, because he was an irritable old man.
Gotcha. And I'm probably going to need some transportation to get out of there.
Ah, yes. Now, you said earlier that you don't drive. Does that mean you don't drive at all, or?
Not at all.
Okay, well, I'm assuming they have public transport in Massachusetts in 1939.
Yeah, there's like cabs and buses and stuff like that that have designated stops.
They're just fine. That's cool. So yeah, it's like I said, it is a delightful day. There's kids playing out. It's a kind of a richy person neighborhood, above average. And you get to the home.
All right, I go ahead and was I provided with keys or anything?
You have the keys. You have the keys.
All right, I go ahead and just go up to the door, open the door.
Right. There's no resistance. The door opens fine. It's a modest history professor's home. On the walls, there is like framed medieval manuscripts. There's pictures of his son when he was young, his wife, mostly in black and white. Sepia images. It's clear that this is a man that's lived on his own for a long time. He had a housekeeper visit him, but there's only so much he could do. There's piles everywhere of just littered stuff. He has. Now, I'm not going to be frank. You're not going to spend that much time here, so I haven't brought a map. But there's There's an office. There's a study. There's a living room. There's a desk, a writing desk.
I'm primarily concerned with the study and his office.
As soon as you get to the, let's say the study and the office is the same room. As soon as you get there, on the desk, and everyone else, don't worry, you're all going to get involved quick enough. This isn't going to become an audio drama.
I'm enjoying looking at that house. It's a very pleasing photograph.
It is actually.
Right, there is a unopened parcel. It's got a return address on the back. The return address is a house in the Give me a sec. What's the name of the mountains just outside New York? I was going to say Catskill Mountains. Cat Hill Mountains.
Catskill?
Catskill Mountains. The Catskill Mountains. Yeah, there's a return address on the Catskill Mountains. It's quite heavy. It's heavy to pick up. It's tied together with string, as you can see.
All right, I untie it and take care of the paper so that I can keep the address.
Right, there's a folded piece of paper, and it's on top of a tablet. Post that.
All right, is it I go ahead and I read the paper.
Okay. I'm trying to find the relevant images while at the same time find the text. Just a second, I'm going to load the image. You're going to see the tablets. The letter says, "Dear Richard, your theories were correct. Sinnar is not where it was originally believed to be. Please come at once to my New York estate. I have much to show you. Time is a factor, though, since soon I will have to leave. Yours sincerely, Dr. Tobias."
All right. Looks like cuneiform.
Aha! Excellent! You didn't even need to do a history roll on that. Okay. Now, since you have a high history, you immediately know what cuneiform is. Do you want me to quickly tell everyone else who's currently listening, for the sake of gameplay, what
Sure, if you want.
cuneiform is a logosymnatic script which was used to write in several languages in ancient Near East. Script was active in early Bronze Age, just near the beginning of the Common Era. It is
Very old language.
very old. It is named for the character wedge-shaped impression from which signs cuneiform originally developed to write the Sumerian language of South Mesopotamia, or modern-day Iraq, along with Egyptian hieroglyphics of the earliest known writing. Now, point out that with a history of 70, that he would immediately recognize what it is. Now, do you want to try and translate it yourself?
I'll give it a shot.
By looking at the image?
Hmm?
His character, sure.
His character.
You're going to help.
Now, here's the thing. You have a high history skill. God, ignore that. You have a high history skill, but at the same time, you don't have a specific language cuneiform. You have things like hieroglyphics for the language you know. So what I'll do is, we will roll for history, but it's going to be like real hard. So I'm going to just roll the classic 1d100. So, excellent. 40. And if we look at your character sheet,
That's a hard roll.
that's a hard roll, which is 14. No, yeah, it'd be 14, wouldn't it? Okay, but I'll tell you what, you got bits. You weren't able to fully translate it, but you were able to make out a word, possibly a name or title, called Ashur, Ashur, son of Shem, Shem, and that's all you could make out. So you have a title.
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up.
Okay, perfectly fine.
I'm going to go ahead and put it like in my backpack.
Yep.
Is there anything else of interest around? Do I need to do a spot hidden?
You can look around, but it's, like I said, it's just a load of clutter for the most part. It is. I mean, if you give me a spot hidden, you have to say you're giving me a spot hidden for a specific thing.
Well, I'm looking for any type of artifacts or whatnot, like what I'm supposed to be bringing back, similar to this.
Yeah, there's a couple of like old manuscripts and stuff, but at the same time, nothing that is gonna truly light up the Miskatonic view. There's one or two pictures, painting. In fact, there's one painting that you think may not be a replica. You may think it's an original. Grab it.
Okay, I'd kind of go through the house, just room by room, and kind of just check around.
You find this medieval manuscript, and you're looking at that, and you're going like, that looks like an original, and that's almost certainly going to be worth something at the very least. From a purely financial perspective, your eyes look at that, and you go, that's probably going to be worth something.
Looks almost like a medieval Tower of Babel.
You find a couple of other cuneiform tablets. I mean, you could tell that this guy had a history interest mostly in the Middle East. So I'm going to say you find one or two items, wrap them up, you put away, but not the huge haul that you thought it was going to be.
I gotcha. Alright, so if my business is done here, I'll head on back to the university.
Okie dokie. Right. So you report back to the university, and the professor sees you, the head of the university sees you walking through the corridors, and he's like, "So, did you find anything of any interest?"
A few odds and ends here and there.
He takes you over to his general office, and he goes, "Well, can I see the odds or ends?"
Yeah, I bring them out and I lay them out like on a large library table.
Now, what you got there is you got a couple of old manuscripts, a couple of stuff written by knights, medieval time stuff, a couple of things on the Crusades. He looks at the painting and his eyes light up. He's like, and then he gets to the cuneiform tablet, and he looks at it like, "Have you had any luck translating this?"
Not just yet, but I plan on having a little bit, maybe later this evening.
Right. He runs his hands over it, tries to himself. He goes, "Have you got any of it at all?"
Just a tiny bit about an Ashura.
Sure. He stops for a second. I've heard that somewhere before. He reaches over to a series of books shelf, and he brings down one. And it wasn't one you're expecting. It was the Holy Bible. And he looks through it, and he goes, "Ashur, son of Shem." I believe that was one of the sons of Noah.
Interesting.
Arian, you could be onto something. And he's like, "We don't have any other professors who know cuneiform. I'm going to leave this with you. You look after this for now. See if you can find another professor who can speak or understand cuneiform, or get very good at it very quickly."
And I assume that the library is at my disposal?
The library is completely disposable.
Very well.
Oh, by the way, we have a visiting guest. The donor, Reginald Pearson, is apparently going to be joining us for a meal later this evening. Personally, I find the man insufferable, but when he's paying for almost an entire wing of the university, we have to, make a accommodation.
Absolutely. Never bite the hand that feeds you.
Never bite the hands that feed you. He's visiting friends in New York, and we said he wanted to pop over and take a look at our latest finds. He makes a pained expression, like, "Can you believe it? Can you stand the guy?"
I'll stand anybody who funds my expeditions.
Right. Okay, so the rest of the day is yours, even though he's put aside that you will be spending dinner with Reginald Pearson later this evening. Because, like I said, he pays for so much.
Alright,
so
I grab a few books about cuneiform and just settle down.
Okay. You start trying to read it, and we do have active translations of cuneiform at this time. Right? It's one of the few languages that, since it was translated to other languages, that has actually been translated, but it's incredibly fucking difficult. It was mistaken for the longest time as decorative because of how hard it is to translate. And as you're looking at it, it doesn't look like the cuneiform that it was commonly used in ancient Iraq. It's off. It's slightly different. It's not the language, and you're looking at it and you can make out bits and words and sentences. You're never going to translate the entire thing. This is a big old wad of text. What you've basically got is something about a migration and trying to find a land which is blessed by God, and Sinar, Shinar, is all you made out. And this was basically an entire night's worth of work on this. You probably should have rolled for that, but fuck it, I forgot.
No problem. If you want, I can do a quick library use just to see if I actually pass it.
Yeah, go on. 54. And what is your library use? If you check your sheet.
60, so it's a pass.
Yeah, that's a pass. So basically, everything I just told you there, you spent an entire day looking through it. I mean, do you want to search for something? Because surely library use wouldn't be the same as translate, right? But no, library use would have been finding the book that would help you translate. So yeah, there you go. You passed on a library use, you took the book, spent the day translating. Okay. I am not a bad DM. I keep telling myself. Okay, so that was a day spent productive. You realise that it's coming up to dinner time, right? And you'll probably be expected in the dining halls of the Miskatonic Guild in the elite section. They have like a private dining area for the best professors.
All right, I go ahead and I dress my best and smell nice and head on over.
Right, sitting at the dining table, right, is the head of the university. I found just a random picture of a professor. I'm going to post it here for role-playing reasons. I hate myself. I can't find the picture. Doesn't matter. You're best dressed well. There's a bunch of professors there, and there's Reginald Pearson. Joe, you ready to roll?
Good evening.
He's standing
At
there
last.
in his suit, right? In one hand, he has his wine glass, sherry even, right? And other hand, cigar.
Yes, well, you can't do without a good sherry.
Greetings. Would you happen to have gin?
Gin! That's for simpletons.
As you're talking, a butler comes over and starts putting wine into each individual glass, into different glasses, and handing them out. There's music playing in the background,
I give him a smirk, and then I reach in my pocket and pull out a flask.
Boy, you came prepared.
The best people always are.
Now, as usual, at this point, the head of the university gets. It's like he wants to show off. He basically, the whole point of these dinners is to show off the financial backers, what their money's going. Right. So he gets up. And, well, in a recent expedition, we came across this rare painting, and he basically brings it out, and it's covered in a cloth, and he uncovers it, and it's the exact painting that you just found in the old man's house earlier. He's like, as you can see, it's a rare medieval tapestry.
Oh, yes, I see. It's very tall indeed. They don't build towers like that anymore.
How
much can we sell it for?
Now, as he laughs jovially, as you know, we put things in, we donate to the museum. Oh,
yes.
Such classic
Priceless,
stuff.
of course. But if we were to sell it?
It would be worth, a classic medieval tapestry like this would be worth thousands. Priceless even.
Wow, I see. Okay, well, that's... Well, we won't do that, but it's good to know.
I'm sure Mr. Quartermane will be more than happy to fill you in on the history of the tapestry. He looks at you.
Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and make a roll, and then
Dan, go ahead.
we can fill in.
Do it. Oh, barely. Yeah, it's the Tower of Babel. It's if you look very carefully, there's God poking his head out the top there. Now, what do you actually know as a person, George? What do you know about the Tower of Babel?
Well, I know that it was designed by an architect named Hiram LaBeouf.
Right.
And essentially, most of what we know of Freemasonry is based off of some of the practices that were made in going into building the Tower of Babel.
So it's a bunch of clever builders.
Yes,
Absolutely.
and now what I know, and I'm breaking character for a second, from looking at the Wikipedia pages of the Tower of Babel, and it appears that the Freemasons sort of added their own shit later on and said like, oh yes, we did. Was made from. Now you're going to know this because you have an understanding history. In ancient Babylon, there is the idea that they created a temple that was so great that that basically God was angry at them. That's why he's got his head poking at the top, and he spited them. And this is the origin story for the different languages of the world. So that's it. So what you know is there's the Freemason version, there's the biblical version, in which the ancient Babylonians created a mighty ziggurat, a tower, to spite God, and God, in his infinite wisdom, looked down on them and spited them away because they basically just said, "Mine's bigger than yours." And he went, "No, you don't.
Right, well, not knowing any of that, God seems bloody pleased with that tower.
Well, quite the opposite, says the head of the university. God was angry and he spited the people of Babylon. At least, that's the legend.
Smited it? Gosh.
Cursed the people of the world to have different languages so they couldn't communicate, especially the builders.
Also, I believe, even right now, Mr. Quartermane is currently working on a translation which may be related to that.
Working's a loose term, but yes.
He walks around behind you and is like, puts his hand on your shoulder and is like, he is one of our leading investigators, and I just want you to know that the money from the Pearson family is being very well spent.
Well, I should hope so. How many languages is he working on then?
Right now, he's currently trying to translate cuneiform, which is an incredibly old and
Just the one? Seems like these Babylonians had a lot more.
after God spited them. They only had many languages after God spited them.
Oh, right. Well, let's probably avoid that then.
Right, I just point out that, Chris, right now, throughout all of this, you are currently in a car outside of the university just smoking a cigarette.
And occasionally stealing sips from my trusty flask.
Yeah, that's like you're out in the cold. Like your boss is in the warmth and the luxury of Teutonic University dining hall, right? Which is a huge, luxurious, elaborate university. A big building, statues, paintings on the walls. Now, do you two want to chit chat amongst yourself for role playing, or will that just be like the
Which two?
George and George and Joe? Do you want to just talk? You have your characters talk to each other for a bit.
Okay, can I do a psychology roll?
You absolutely can.
And
What are
if
you trying
if so, I want to know George's secret about how he manages to be successful in the international world of digging.
Well, all your psychology role is going to do is are you going to know, is he telling the truth or lying? That's it. That's determining, is he a liar? So
Oh, but I don't think he's really a liar, so maybe that's pointless then. I'll just ask, George, what do you get up to on these overseas digs?
Well, I try to do a bit of digging and archaeology and some study, but I'm constantly living in the shadow of my cousin.
Oh, yeah, family problems. Yeah, I know about all that.
Well, he's a
I like the
little
fact-
more famous or infamous, and I wind up taking the bill.
Well, I mean, infamous for finding good things, or infamous for, generally fucking about.
Well, he finds great things, but he also attracts the wrong crowd. Ergo, I attract the wrong crowd. But I get my work done.
Well, I look forward to working with you.
Absolutely. Have you ever thought of coming on one of these digs?
Now that you mention it, it is something I've been thinking about. I see these people just pottering around with spades and trowels and brushes, and I think I could do that. How difficult would it be? Just pick the right spot. That's the difficult part. And then once you're there,
Well,
you
there's
just
a
keep
little bit of
going till you
nuance.
find gold. How so?
You can't just brush and pick. You have to know where to brush and pick and how to brush and pick. Too hard, and you've just ruined a priceless artifact.
But how would you find that out?
Years
I mean,
of
could you
study.
study? I can't be bothered with that. That's why I need you. You and possibly your brother.
I'd be more than happy to guide you.
I think this is the beginning of a beautiful friendship.
I can't help but overhear you, says the university. It's like, I was just listening to what you were saying. You were going to New York yourself, weren't you, Mr. Pearson?
New York? Why every year?
Okay, well that's fantastic news because my Mr. Quartermane here was just going to visit a professor who may have information concerning this in New York City. You might as well join him.
Information, you say? Information that might lead to something valuable?
It's important to show you that in the Miskatonic University, your money is well spent. We are pursuing history.
Well, sounds jolly good.
Right, and thus the mill goes on with people making chat. Okay, so with that, the party's coming to an end. People talk about where they're summering. Rich people stuff. Rich people. How will you spend the rest of your night, boys?
Living it up. I mean, we've got food, we've got drink. Sounds like a party.
George, are you okay?
Absolutely. I just have to press the button in order to talk. So if I don't talk as often, it's just because of that.
So it's just you started typing. I was afraid typing meant like, I can't talk to anyone. Okay, so how will you spend the rest of the evening?
Basically schmoozing about and smoking my pipe.
Okay.
Those were the days.
So what time do you guys eventually leave the party?
Well, if we're gabbing together, are we leaving together?
I mean, you have your own, like you're currently staying at a hotel.
Right.
You know,
I have my driver outside.
yeah, you have a driver outside. He's going to take you to a hotel because your mansion isn't.
Do you want to lift,
near-
George? I mean, not George. What's your character's name again?
Quartermane. Aloysius Quartermane.
Quartermane. Aloysius. Do you want to lift, Aloysius?
Sure, I wouldn't mind.
Rollicking. How about we get out of here at 1 in the morning? Can you survive that long?
I've survived worse.
Right, roll on 1. You guys make it outside, and it's been pouring in with rain. And inside is your. Basically, you've been sitting there for like 6, maybe 7 hours. Is your driver, which is Chris's character, which is James Pett. Right.
I had to say they also immediately see me like swigging from my flask and then kind of turn and quickly try to like put it away.
I feel like I saw a flash of metal over there. I hope he's not waving a gun about.
I don't think you have to worry about that.
You've known this man for years. He's like your personal house slave. You know, you've known him all your life. He's always been part of the family, running around doing things for you.
Well,
I step out of the car and say, Mr. Pearson, how's your afternoon? And I start opening the door.
yeah, it's very productive. I made some great friends. In fact, we're going to take one of them back now.
Oh, of course. What's her name? Mr.
This is Alan Quartermane. Aloysius Quartermane.
Like that.
I always get them confused.
No, it's cool. If anybody like mistakes my name, that's great. I always like to want to step in and correct people about it.
It's like calling Luigi Mario. It's gonna hurt, man.
I think I'll stick to calling you Mr. Quartermane. I'll get the door open for you.
Good man.
So, AQ, you ever seen a Rolls Royce before?
Actually, what you currently have is. Now, I was going to give you a sports car, but it's hard finding a sports car which moves that many people. So you're not taking the big fancy sports car. You have a Ford Deluxe convertible sedan.
Which is a fancy car in this day and age?
It is a fancy car. Were you hoping for something even fancier?
No, well, I don't know what a fancy car is today. I definitely don't know what a fancy car was 80 years ago, so I will take your word for it. Aloysius, how do you like the new sedan model?
Very nice. I've ridden in one from the Prince of Sedan.
That is exactly the kind of thing I want to do.
Hearing them talk about the car, I lean back in the seat and I put on my shit. She purrs like a kitten. And I go to start the car and it doesn't start. I have to punch the console a couple of times to get it to start.
Wow, it's
It's
a good
heavily
thing.
pouring. Go ahead.
Oh, I was there. It's a good thing we're travelling with a mechanic and driver. Whenever these machines break down, he can always fix it up again.
Right, it's
You're right about
heavily
that,
pouring.
Mr. Pearson.
So say that again, Chris.
You're right about that, Mr. Pearson.
I want to point out your accent is actually surprisingly excellent. I mean, you're doing a fantastic
It's
job.
ridiculously good. You're putting us to shame.
Absolutely.
Right. As we drive to your, I mean, you guys are a little bit sozzled, and the rain's pouring, and you're driving along, and it's a pretty non-eventful. There's almost no one around, right? And you drive up to Mr. Quartermane's house, and it's a pretty nice house. And it's still pouring with rain, right? And as you go to get out, you still feel the tablet, the letter. It's a heavyweight, but you've been carrying it around with you everywhere. So yeah, that's it.
Carrying it around.
He's been carrying it around.
Gosh.
It's not that heavy. It's a tablet. You know. I didn't want to leave it in the library.
So that's what you've got in your backpack.
Yes, sir.
Well, I suppose that's how they did it in the old days. Didn't have any paper.
Correct. Wet clay.
Rain's starting to pour down now, and you put it back up.
I hope it doesn't turn into mud again.
No, these things have turned into stone after this period of time.
So yeah, and with that, so I'm telling you what you're doing. You go to your house?
Oh, okay, we already pulled up at my house.
Yes, pulled out of your house. And you're getting out of it and it's starting to rain. It's been raining for a while.
It's like, well, gentlemen, I guess this is an evening. If you wish to contact me, and I hand him a card.
Well, very classy.
Once we get a little bit more information, we're going to head out there and see what we can find. This may be very big. Very big.
I hope so. I look forward to more details in New York.
Absolutely.
Take care of that African tablet.
Sumerian.
No, that's not right.
It's more Arabic, Middle Easty than not African. But that makes sense. You wouldn't know that because you're a rich guy.
Learn something new every day.
Absolutely. By the end of this expedition, you'll be a full-fledged archaeologist. I say, Joe.
I've already bought that hat.
Excellent. Good evening, gentlemen.
Good night.
Okay, so your house. What state should we say the incredibly rich Pearson family is from? Because you're currently visiting New York, right?
Right.
You have a nice hotel. So.
I feel like somewhere kind of rural. Maybe like somewhere out of the way. Maybe like Arkansas.
So okay, fair enough. So you and your manservant are currently staying in a hotel in Massachusetts. Periodically visit the museum to see where the family money's going. So I guess you make your way to a hotel.
Yep. So I assume there's a room for me and a room for
separate room for a serving boy. Yeah.
Serving boy now.
Yeah.
Gosh,
you are actually you're a pretty good rich guy because you actually pay for him to have quarters. You could have just made him sleep in the car.
Yes, but then
Which,
it might smell in the morning.
as you would know, I would happily do.
No, but none of that.
Right. So, is there anything that you're going to do before you go to bed, George?
I might go ahead and just crack open the tablet again and just take a little bit of a look. And look, I'm also going to look into the staff of Miskatonic to see if there's anybody else that could actually help me.
Okay, that's you wouldn't have like a book on the staff of Miskatonic, would you? Would you? Is that a thing?
No,
I suppose you're just
really, but I mean, I could probably like just I don't know, maybe just reference in my head like who would be the best to help me out with this. Like I should know the departments.
Okay, there is a whole bunch of different departments, and there is departments of history and departments of languages, right? But cuneiform is a very specific thing. You're probably going to be looking for someone who is like a professor specifically in the history of the Middle East, or the history of Babylon, which was now be modern day Iraq. So there's one or two, but no one who's a specific expert. There's a couple of guys, which specifically there's like Professor Fritz Worth, who is a master of languages, right? So he doesn't study cuneiform, but still perhaps he may be able to help slightly. And there is Professor Harding, who's like the head professor on Middle Eastern Studies, formerly the role of Orlando Drake Sr. He's recently inherited the role. So, there's two guys that might be of some use. You can certainly talk to them.
All right.
Right. Is that you done for the entire evening? If you want to try the tablet again, you're going to have to do a roll, and you're going to do a roll in a specific skill of your choosing.
Okay, let me see. We check real quick. Now, they have something called Natural World. This is a different skill that's in Cthulhu, on Pulp Cthulhu, rather than... And I think that has to do with, like, general knowledge about just about everything.
Did you say natural? I think I can look it up. I think that's like knowing like birds and bees and wasps and deers and stuff. I'm going to look it up. Cthulhu Natural World skill. I'm Googling it. Yeah, it's about recognizing plants and lichen and mushrooms and what's edible. That sort of thing.
Okay, no problem. Actually,
now, if you
do an occult roll just to see if there's any type of I don't know, something strange about things.
Okay. What are you talking? But now, do keep in mind, we're talking about just the general tablet in general, or the words that you translated from the tablet.
I'm looking for some symbolism and stuff like that on the tablet itself.
Okay. Do you want me to just quickly write down the words that you've translated so you know what they are? Sure. So the words that were translated was the name, Shur, son of Shem, and the letter. Give me a second. I'm just going to write down what the letter was so you have access. So that because sometimes I find having a physical prop is better because it reminds the players that it exists.
Oh, you didn't tell me the wheels matched the roof. That is beautiful.
This is the letter that came with it. So the words that were translated was Ashur, son of Shem, right? And the letter that came with it was Richard Drake Sr., Dear Richard, your theories were correct. Sinar is not where it was originally believed to be. Please come at once to my New York estate. I have much to show you. Time is a factor, though, since I must leave Dr. Tobias Muller.
That's something I also want to look into. Dr. Tobias Muller. Who is that exactly?
Okay, you don't know, but perhaps someone at the Miskatonic University might know.
Right. I'll work on that the next day.
Yeah.
Then I go ahead and I just turn in for the evening.
Okay. Did we do the search? We didn't actually do around doing the search, did we?
Oh, you want me to do like a history roll?
Yeah, do a history roll, but specifically for something. So, you want to do a search for the words that were translated?
Sure. So you want me to do like a hard?
No. This is just searching for words in history. So, So if you look at your history books and you're searching specifically for... Okay, it's 80 and your history's 70, so never mind, you're tired. Go to bed.
Yeah, it's after 1 and I've been drinking.
And you've been drinking, like... Okay, so, you drift off to a frightful sleep. You see clouded dreams. You see, like, a bunch of people. And they're screaming and they're grabbing their heads, falling down. And there's hundreds of them, thousands of them all around. Right? You can't make out any faces. You can't make out any of the figures. But they're all screaming and they're yelling. And directly in front of you there is some bar, humongous edifice, going up in the sky, higher and higher, and light floods down onto everyone. And the screaming is silenced and you awake with a start. It's a beautiful sunny morning in Massachusetts.
Alrighty then. I'd like to try an idea roll to see if I can get any insight from that dream.
Okay, the painting that was found at the history professor's place must clearly have been the Tower of Babel. That must have inspired you to have a nightmare about the Tower of Babel.
Okay, so I don't glean anything else besides that from it.
No, you must have had a nightmare because you were thinking about the Tower of Babel, which is a really fucked up legend.
Gotcha. Alright, I guess I head over to Miskatonic and see what I can do about contacting that Mr. Tobias.
Yeah, absolutely. Right, so you head off to the Miskatonic University, okay? And now, how are you going to try and contact?
Well, what I'm going to do is look at my friend's, my dead friend's effects and see if maybe he might actually have some type of a contact information or Rolodex or something like that.
That's a very clever idea.
Those were the days before phones. I had books with addresses.
No, there were phones, but you had to look them up on, So yeah, he does have a Rolodex in his desk, and on it there is a Dr. Tobias Muller and a phone number.
Alright, I take it.
Okay, so, right, and the phone is answered by a gentleman with a German accent. He's like, hello, can I help you? I'm not going to do accents, I'm terrible at them.
What was the gentleman's name again that passed away?
That is Orlando Drake Sr.
Oh, okay, gotcha. May I speak to Dr. Tobias Muller?
Speaking, how can I help you, sir?
Yes, an acquaintance of ours, Mr. Orlando Drake, has seemingly passed away recently.
There's a long pause on the other line. And do you mean Orlando Drake Sr.?
Correct, sir.
Ah, mein gut. And he puts the phone back up and he's like, my lord, I know he was an old man, but he basically raised me. There's a long pause on the other end. Thank you for telling me this information. I am about to head off on a very important expedition, and it's good that he always wanted to see it, the expedition. It's at least good that I know this. Thank you very much for your time, sir. And you can feel that he wants to end the conversation. He's going to wrap it up.
Well, he apparently hasn't opened up the package with the tablet in it.
Then, so you must have opened it then.
Yes, sir.
Well, may I inquire as to who you are?
I'm Dr. Aloysius Quartermane.
The famous adventurer?
No, the other one.
There's another one? he pulls his knee stops like that's unimportant. Please, could you just pass that tablet and the relevant information onto the Miskatonic University? I'm afraid only Orlando Drake Sr. would have been able to truly translate it and understand it. His death is a great loss to the archaeological community.
Well, I am currently underway right now trying to translate it.
There's a long pause on the other end. You can read cuneiform?
Not quite yet, but I will.
My God, that's fantastic! There's like 20 men on this world that can read cuneiform. Are you busy right now? And I mean for the next few months?
Not at the moment.
Well, I would... Okay, I am putting together an expedition to go to Iraq. Now, we are leaving very shortly. Can you make it to New York within a week?
Absolutely. Mind if I bring some friends?
How many friends? There's a pause as he's looking over some paperwork. I can give you possibly 4 to 3 people.
Well, it's the gentleman who's going to be bankrolling me.
I understand. Well, even capitalism even touches the world of history. So we think we have to work for money. Fine. Come to my New York estate. There is the address is 456 Bellevue Drive, Catskill Mountains. God damn it! Yeah, the big fancy mountain, right? New York City. I need you there within a week. Good day, sir. And he puts down the phone.
All right, I go and talk to the head of the department and let them know exactly what's going on and that things are on a roll right now.
He pauses as you tell him this, and he goes, "Do you know what that means? Sina. That letter said Sina. That is the city which hosted the Tower of Babel. They could be onto something humongous. You have the full supportings of the Miskatonic University."
Thank you, sir.
Right, and he gives you his approval.
All right, I get up, go to my own office, and I give I'm sorry, Joe. What's your character's name again?
Pearson. Reginald Pearson.
Reginald Pearson. You'll have his phone number, too.
Gotcha. I'll go ahead and I'll give Mr. Reginald Pearson a call and let him know the good news.
Go on, ring, ring. Roleplay, bitches. Come on.
Ahoy, hoy.
Mr. Pearson.
Who is this? Your voice sounds familiar. Is this the Alan Quartermane?
Aloysius, sir, but I'll let it slide this time. Yes, we've got good news. There's already an expedition being planned. Are you in?
Gosh, so soon. No time to waste, eh?
That's how these things happen.
Yes, well, gotta find all that treasure before somebody else does. Count me in.
All right, we need to be there in 10 days.
I'll
Right.
tell my driver immediately.
Now, the fortunate thing is it's not far to New York City at all. Right, Massachusetts is right next door, so it's not going to take long to get there. Right now, what are you gentlemen? And Chris, don't worry. I know you've not had much to do with this so far. You're going to be fucking center roll soon. So, what are you gentlemen packing? Because you think you're doing a historical expedition to Iraq from New York City. You don't know how you're getting there. You know it's going to get covered and paid for. What are you packing and bringing?
Well, I mean, I'll need my quail hunting rifle. Because I'm sure whatever birds they have over there, they'll be worth shooting. But apart from that, no weapons.
Okay. I assume you're bringing clothes and stuff?
Yes, there'll be a trunk with clothes.
Chris?
A chessboard.
Chris, you there, buddy?
Yes.
Right, and I
What
assume
am I-
you're gonna... What was that,
Sorry,
Chris?
yeah, you go.
I was gonna say, I assume you're gonna follow your master, like, wherever he goes, right?
Pretty much.
Right, okay, so what are you packing and bringing when you're heading off on this expedition?
I go to my work. Well, wait. No, I can't go to my workshop because we're at a hotel.
Yep, you're at a hotel, but you will carry your equipment with you in the boot of the car.
Yeah. So I would like to say, like, James in a way almost dotes on Reginald, right? And so in the car is all the things that I'll take with me because I put all of my things in the car. All of my mechanical tools, all of my first aid supplies, extra clothes, several bottles of whiskey, an extra
he's a
flask in
good
case I
chap,
lose my
isn't he?
flask. I've got my dad's safari hat.
That's a piff hat. It's called a piff hat.
A piff hat, yeah. I've got the piff hat. I do have my shotgun in there in case any, hooligans try to steal a car or anything, and along with a few boxes of shells. Yeah. So, mechanical tools and first aid supplies, additional clothing, piff hat, shotgun, a watch.
That's fantastic. Don't worry. Yeah, that's all super duper. And George, any last preparations before we go?
Okay, basically everything that's in my gear and possessions, along with the tablet. Most of my stuff all fits in a backpack. It's just, it's stuff like a machete, some rope, climbing equipment, change of clothes, a little bit more gin, bandolier of extra ammo, my 2 pistols, a mini pack, like archaeology pack, like something small that I can, if I was like in a pinch, I could just pick out and start doing some brushing and picking, waterproof matches, notebook, and pencil.
Very professional.
Waterproof
and
match.
any tomes that I can bring with me that would actually help out with some of the translation on the way, because I figured travel is going to take a while.
Okay, so I'm going to include the history of Babylon and a thesis on the translation of cuneiform. Even though I should point out, you are constantly finding that this does not look like any cuneiform which you currently know is currently known. Some of the letters are different. Some of the letters are in different. I say letters.
Oh, it's
Some
all
of the-
squiggles and lines, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. But then again, all writing is technically squiggles and
Exactly.
lines.
Potato.
Right. Okay. So now we'll be taking your car. You shovel the stuff in there. Everyone gets in there. And now this is why I really fucking wish I could share the screen, because if I could share the screen, I would be drawing the red line, Indiana Jones style. I'd hoped to show you my screen so I could draw all over the stuff for in combat and stuff. But anyway. So yeah, I'm just gonna quickly draw a red line on a map. Do 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 do. Right. I'm just gonna share that image. Da 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 da. Right. Okay.
You can't share your screen, Steve. I have a share screen button on mine.
But I can't sign into my computer on Discord because the
Different
sound
version.
quality is crap. Right. The sound quality is crap with my microphone, so I have to do it on my tablet. Right. So that's the travel. You travel through to New York.
That's very clear. I didn't realise Massachusetts is not too far from New York. We don't
It
need 10
isn't.
days, we need 10 hours.
Right. So
Good
you
question.
get. Yeah,
Am I driving? Are they both in our car and I'm driving?
that is correct. You're
The
both in-
entire time I am sitting there going, Mr. Quartermane, you're going to love Mr. Pearson. He's going to turn out to be the best adventurer you've ever seen. You're not going to regret this at all. I guarantee that. That's the entire time I'm talking up Mr. Pearson.
I'm sure.
But assuming I'm in the car too, I am not doing anything to dissuade the talk. I'm not being modest. I mean, I think I am going to be a great adventurer.